There's a new journaling interview series that I am starting, and I am so excited to announce it. I've been interviewing people who have used journaling in their life, their business, and whatever aspect, and just to find out how they use it to grow in whatever way they want to grow. And I'm really excited for you to listen to the things they've said, because I've learned already and changed a few things about my life from just talking to them. I thought it would be a great way to start out this journaling series by answering some of the questions myself, so that you get to know my perspective and the way I use journaling. I started journaling when I was 8. It was just a very hard time in my life. There was just so many changes happening within myself, outside of myself, and I just didn't understand them, and I didn't know how to deal with them. And journaling was like, seriously, journaling saved me. It was the way that I could process what was going on in my head and my heart and my relationships and my environment, and to use that to become a better person. Even though I didn't understand personal development at that time, I didn't even know you could change who you were or use your experiences to become a better person at 8. I just knew that I wanted to be happy and feel happy. And so that's how I started journaling. And along the way, and this is something I mentioned on my website, is that around when I was 13 or 14, I just started hearing a lot of people telling me that journaling should be used as a way to document your life for your posterity, for your descendants. And so I started writing what was going on in my day and all these things. I just started using it more for historical documentation, and I didn't enjoy it. And so soon I just stopped journaling, or journaled very, very rarely. I'm talking about like where I would pick up my journal maybe once every couple of months, maybe once 6 months, once in a year. I was not doing very well with it. And that was very different than before, where I was journaling every day because I loved it so much and it helped me so much. And I would use it for things like I mentioned, therapy, for processing my thoughts, for documenting things I wanted to remember, for writing songs, writing poetry, drawing dresses, for anything and everything that was going on in my head. And it was just lovely. I could use my journal for everything. That was what was helpful for me. And then to start journaling a different way, in just one way, really, just it didn't do the purpose of why I started journaling. And so I stopped. And then years and years and years later, I started journaling again. Again, the same way, but with I was like, I'm determined that this time I am going to be consistent. I'm going to do it. I'm going to force myself. And so I did. I'd force myself to chronicle my life. Just write down, hey, today I did this. Yesterday I did the same thing, but here you go. Just that I was using it still the same way that they had told me was the best way to use a journal. And I still wasn't liking it, but I was forcing myself to enjoy it. Or at least I was forcing myself to do it, which meant I would write one line, and I always thought, well, one line's better than nothing. They'll know what happened this day. In the future, they'll know what happened on this day. And again, I kept that up for a bit, but soon fell off the wagon because it just wasn't doing it for me. And then so then I became inconsistent with it. I do it every now and then. I'd be a little consistent, and then I get out of it. And then one day, I was listening to a friend, and she was telling me how she journaled, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the same way I used to journal. Why did I stop? why did I listen? And so I started journaling my way again, and I found the joy and love I wanted to. I didn't have to force myself to be consistent with it because it just worked for me. It just was so helpful. And so that's why I always tell people, like, just keep trying different styles of journaling and see what works for you. Don't force yourself to be consistent. Sometimes when you fall out of a habit, or when you're starting a habit, sometimes you do have to give yourself a chance to make it a habit. So when I started journaling the way I liked again, there were days when I would have to say, oh, I should put this in my journal. This is exactly what I want in my journal. This is exactly how I used to use my journal. Let's do it. And so I had to remind myself that these experiences, these thoughts, this thing I want out of my life is exactly the type of things I wanted to journal about. And so, yeah, there was that where I had to remind myself to journal because I had gotten so out of the habit. But once I started again, it didn't take very long, at least for me. Everyone's different. It didn't take very long for me to get in the habit again. And so I got in the habit of journaling, and I journaled different ways to see what I liked and what I didn't like. I don't typically like fill in the blanks. I like a blank journal that I fill myself. Although I have two journals right now. I have a bullet journal and I have a normal blank journal that I use, and I find that works really well for me. My bullet journal is my analog. It's where I write down my schedule. I use it like a planner. I use it like a reminder. Like I have my morning routine, my evening routine set out, drawn out, so that I can remember the things I wanted to get out of it. And then once I started doing that, it was magical. One of the ways recently that I've used my journal that has been helpful is, right now we have the coronavirus, we have the protests, we have the injustices and things like that happening. And I had to work through it for me because I had to figure out, how can I learn things? How can I process these things and still live a happy, fulfilled life? Because some of the topics are hard. They're heavy. And I'm not the kind of person who enjoys dramatic movies because I don't want trauma in my life. I'm not a traumatic person. But sometimes to make a change, you have to allow yourself to learn and to hear stories. And so I needed to process the stories I was hearing, process my own stories, and find a way to make good come out of it. So find a way to alleviate the heaviness of it so that good could come out of it for me. And journaling definitely helps so much with that. I was able to understand and think through exactly what I needed to do to change the world and add value and positivity to the world while still learning from the stories of the world. If that makes sense. I hope it does. Either way, I had to use journaling for that. I made a section in my journal where it was like, okay, all right, what have I done today that will add or change the world? It doesn't have to be something big. It can be something small. So I know that I am actively involved in the movement of changing our world into a better place where everyone feels love and everyone feels accepted, as much as we all feel accepted, right? Like, in a way that's upholds human rights. Yeah, I think that is the best way I can say it. And I'm so happy I did that. I had 2 weeks where I was really down, and so I really needed that. And then my heart was so uplifted and I felt so good. And I felt like, okay, not only do I feel good and I feel happy again and I feel positive again and I can add positivity without ignoring issues, but I know how I can help. And that was, you have to use your journal for that. It is impossible to change things. It is impossible for me to make lasting change in myself, in my environment, in my world, my community, in my world, same thing, right? If I'm just thinking about it, there's so many thoughts that get lost, so many ideas that get lost. And also things that I just don't understand unless I can get a piece of paper and just process it. And then suddenly ideas come and understanding comes and I can move on in a better way. So that is how I have used my journal. It's when I started journaling young and I lost my way but gained my way again. But it's still something I have to redefine for myself as I move forward. And that is how I use it to change myself, to develop myself, and to develop the world. If you guys have any questions whatsoever for me, let me know. Or if you have any questions you want me to include in these interviews, please let me know. I will be posting them, I think, both here and IGTV, because when I asked you where you wanted me to post the interviews, it was pretty evenly split of people saying YouTube and IGTV. So I thought maybe I could just do both, or at least have some snippet in IGTV and then they can watch the rest in YouTube. So I'm still figuring that out, but I will have it figured out by the time I start uploading these videos. Now, these videos won't be the only videos I upload. They'll be mixed in with my other normal content. And so if you don't see another interview in the next video or the video after that, know that it will still come. And so do not worry about that. I think that's it. I appreciate you guys so much. And I appreciate all that I'm learning from you. And I appreciate being able to share all the things I'm learning and the way I'm changing my life. And to be honest, being accountable to you guys have helped me a lot in making the changes I want to make. I will see you in the next video. Bye.